Welcome to the final episode of Series 48, everyone. This is I've been having a lot of fun with this series, so I'm really excited for people to hear some of the discussion that we had, because these designer episodes are always just like chef kiss.
Absolutely.
So good. But before all of that, before we can let people hear the great quality content, announcements.
Let's
not make a song for that too.
No. So there is a bundle that you should check out on itch.io. It is in the final stretches of its time on itch.io, I guess.
Yes,
I don't know.
It's run, I believe is what you would call it.
There
maybe?
you go.
Campaign?
Exactly. Campaign. I don't know. It's been there. It started off with a month and a couple days on there, and it's running to the end as of the release of this episode. So this is the TTRPG bundle for Trans Rights Texas. There are almost 500 items included in this bundle, including my very own game, Our Final Gathering, The Dreaded Reflections of the Immortal Soul, which is a mouthful, but it's a fun game. We covered that on our Patreon exclusive episode if you want to hear what it's about. But this bundle is only $5 minimum. It's meant to provide funds to trans advocacy groups in Texas in light of recent policies enacted by the governor, which, among other things, seeks to prosecute parents who provide gender-affirming healthcare to their kids as child abusers, and that is super gross. So
yeah, and just not science.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, among other things, not science.
Right. So this legislation is both dangerous directly to the families affected, but also indirectly, as it sets a really bad precedence for other states to do similar things, and that kind of sucks. So this bundle helps advocates work with families directly impacted and to fight against these dangerous and discriminatory policies.
We encourage you to give to that cause first, because they need it. If you have something left over and you're looking for something to do with that money, our network does have a Patreon that helps our show and all the other shows on the network. It is at patreon.com/one-shot-podcast. It does get you bonus episodes for the various shows on the network at the $5 and up level. And other levels above that, I think the $15 a month level, you get a free RPG every month. We have a new bonus episode coming up where I create characters with my kids for a game called Weird Scouts that focuses on kids playing magical scouts in a magical forest setting.
Yeah.
It's very cute. It's a lot of fun. We had a great time recording. Nate was peak Nate. And it's fun because we did that one a few years ago. And so it's interesting to hear how much they've grown up since we last did one too. The audio quality is not great. I was using my old microphone and it did betray me a little bit, but Ryan, being the editing genius that he is, has mostly fixed it up. So it's not up to our usual standards, but it is also three of us in a closet around a microphone. So yeah, what can you do?
What can you do? Absolutely. Another cool thing that we've got going on right now is we just finished designs for some t-shirts that we're going to be adding to the One Shot Network TeePublic store sometime soon. It's not only t-shirts, you can get stickers, mugs, posters,
giant flags to hang behind you.
Yeah, I think they even do canvas prints as well. It's wild how many things you can do on that.
Phone cases, I think, depending on what kind of phone
there's
you
some
have.
phone cases. Yep.
Yeah.
So Amelia's been having a lot of fun making designs, and we've been having quite a good laugh about some of our favorite inside jokes that we've got going on.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they are. I mean, there's a couple from episodes, but a lot of it is like inside jokes right now. So.
Absolutely. And we've been posting some previews on our Discord. So if you wanted to check those out, you could go to discord.characterizationcast.com and join us and comment and maybe shape the future of t-shirts.
Should we tell people like what the first design is?
Yeah, what's the first design?
Announce it on the show here. I invented a logo for our Sims 4 esports league. So if you go to our episodes about microgames, it is episode 3 of that series. I don't remember the series number, 28 or no, that seems too
it's
low.
like 30 something.
30
it's
something?
in there.
I don't
it's
know.
Micro RPGs with us.
Yeah, it's micro RPGs. But we created a Sims 4 esports league. And so I did make a shirt for that league.
It looks very official.
It does. I'm really excited about it to have a shirt for Sims 4 esports. So, but I've been working on a couple other ones that are a little more like show centric, and then some that are from specific series. So I'm excited to get them out into the world. I've been having fun playing with designs. So
yeah, and we'll put a link in the show notes to the network store, so you can keep an eye out for the new designs. It's going to take a little while because folks on the network are busy, just like almost everybody else in life.
Yep.
So they'll get there when they get there. Yeah,
hopefully around the end of the month sometime. But we're excited. I'm going to buy one right away.
Absolutely.
Nate has already asked for one too. So I noted last time that I really want to make some playlists for some of our series. I recently posted on Twitter and Instagram and our Discord also about the one I made for our Christmas Belonging series. It is late for Christmas and it is still kind of winter-ish. It was snowing here yesterday a little bit. There actually aren't any Christmas songs on there though, so it's mostly kind of winter feels.
Yeah.
We asked recently on Twitter, but we would also like to hear from people what you would like a playlist for and what kind of themes and vibes you think we should put in there. And also if there are any songs that you think absolutely need to be in there.
Yeah.
I also just thought of another thing that I was going to say in these announcements. We would like to do another Q&A mailbag episode at some point. We did one for our 1 year anniversary. We are creeping up on our 4-year anniversary. So we would really like to do another one. We will put a Google form out on Twitter and our Discord, and I don't know, other places. We'll put a link to one in these show notes too. But if you have questions that you'd like to ask us and you'd like us to answer, we would like to do a fun little bonus episode at some point.
Absolutely. And I think we'll probably release that as part of our Series 50 celebration extravaganza, which is coming up in May.
Yeah.
So really, get us your questions. And goodness gracious, we will answer them to the best of our ability. It can be questions about us, questions about games, questions about character creation, questions about world building, questions about memes, whatever.
Yes.
Just
anything
throw them
you've
at
heard
us.
on the show or want to hear on the show or any of that. We would love to answer
absolutely.
them.
Ask us anything, and if it's appropriate, we will answer that question.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Anything about 4 years, making a podcast 4 years later. Somehow still. We did say in the very beginning that we have hundreds of ideas and things that could go on forever. So we're only at 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a ways to go.
Yeah, we got time.
Speaking of time, we have a TikTok page now. See what I did there?
I love that. That was a good segue. Nice.
We are currently only hosting our teasers for upcoming episodes. We're not sure if we're going to use it for anything else. We might, we may not. We have no idea. We're still figuring out what we know and what we think we know.
We're still learning about internet.
Yeah, we're still learning about internet stuff like TikToks and the Tiki-Takis. So you can follow us at Character Creation Cast, all one word, on TikTok, and like our stuff and share it, I guess. I don't know how TikTok works, but whatever you can do to throw the algorithm out there for other folks to see our stuff, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I've been going back and listening to older episodes too, so I'm hoping that we'll put some not teasers at this point, but little clips from older episodes too in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been really enjoying putting together the teasers for upcoming episodes, and it's a really easy process for me at this point. So we'll probably just pull snippets of audio here and there and throw them up on Twitter and TikTok and just kind of give a little taste of some of our older stuff. So if you've been reluctant to listen to some of these series just because it's not a game that you were enjoying, you can get a nice little snippet of some of the wisdom or hilarity that ensues within the episodes, because there's a lot of gems that are hidden throughout all of our series. That's not just about the game that we're covering. So
I have to say, there are times where we sit down to do a game because we're it's coming up, or, you know, it's something that we think that our listeners would really enjoy or something, but like, it's not always my jam, because, you know, not everything's for everyone. And sometimes we'll sit down to do these games, and by the end of a series, I'm like, oh, actually, like, why did I not like this game? Like, why was I not into this? So, you know, obviously not everybody has to listen to everything. And it's a thing that I love about our show. It's really easy to kind of come in and out too. But definitely the teasers, I think, help give people a little idea of, you know, maybe this will be fun, even if it's not my kind of game.
Yeah. And if we're going to do more than that on TikTok, more than just the teasers, we'll let you know. But also feel free to suggest stuff at us. And
yeah, tell us what people do on TikTok. I don't want to dive too deep into it, because I just like I just don't trust my ADHD. Like, I will get sucked in. So like, I don't, you know, it's not like, for me, it's not like a level of like, I don't understand how to internet. It's just like, I don't wanna. Yeah. So, you know, if there's things that I should know, like, you know, tell me the memes.
10 hours later.
Right. Well, that's what it would be. TikTok. It's like, I don't want to do that.
No.
I tell my sister to just send me ones that she thinks I would like, and that's what she does. So that's where I get my TikTok from.
There you go.
Secondhand TikToks.
Yep.
Okay, final announcement, I swear. If you didn't check out our bonus character creation spotlight episode from last week for Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, we got into some really fantastic discussion. We learned about that phenomenal game, which is crowdfunding right now. It really hit on some fun topics about character creation and about what we consider to be RPGs, what we count as role-playing. It got really in-depth for one of our Spotlight series.
I love that spot. We got into the weeds of some really fantastic conversation.
It was stuff that like I've always wanted to ask people and talk about, and like just doesn't come up, or we haven't really had room for. And this was the perfect game to really dig my hands in the dirt of some of those things. So I know I went way off script on that one, but it was a great discussion. Yeah,
and Jay and Lily were fantastic guests. And if you haven't listened, absolutely go check it out, because as an episode by itself, it's just fantastic. So I hope you enjoy if you haven't heard it. And if you had, I hope you had enjoyed it.
Yeah, it is crowdfunding right now on IndieGoGo. Just to like point that out, not on Kickstarter, it's on IndieGoGo. So we'll have a link in the show notes, and please check it out. It's a really cool concept for a game, doing things that a lot of games are not doing right now, but in a really fun, interesting, very accessible way. So absolutely.
And I promise that's it. For the announcements today. Stick around after the show for the call to action, as well as our ever-growing outtakes. In the meantime, enjoy the show.
Welcome back to our discussion episode. Last time we finished our session 0 for Kids on Brooms. This episode, we are discussing the character creation process. We are thrilled to welcome back Doug Levandowski and Jonathan Gilmour. Would you like to reintroduce yourselves to everyone and tell us a little bit about the characters you made with us?
Sure thing. I'm Doug Levandowski. I'm excited to still be here. Be back.
Continue being here.
Continue my being here. I made Garrison Gar Wilburthrum IV, who was a haughty descendant, junior at Poof and the prestigious Order of Fantasticism.
Ryan forgot we named it that.
In our very serious game, GM'd by Greg. A guy who's willing to help mermaids if they're cute enough.
That's what he says.
That's what he says.
Gar sounds problematic.
He's got a heart under there. I don't even think he admits
not.
It. No.
Gar is a scumbag.
Oh no.
I would not have made that character if I was actually going to play him.
Yes. Well, Good news.
My rule is I don't play evil characters. So
Yep.
Oh, I do not have
Well,
that
you
rule.
know, we got fan fiction coming up, so we'll see kind of how that may go if we actually did play
have
these.
like a nice redemption arc, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
There's room for love.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
All right, Jonathan, how about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jonathan Gilmour. I'm a game designer, and I created Jimmy Tinglebottom, who is a funny klutz. He is cursed with a curse that only makes his luck work in extremes. So either very, very good or very, very bad things happen. Never middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of hidden conflicts with the other players. I am the reason one of the other players is cursed as well. And I wanted to mention all the horrible things in my school bag because we didn't really talk about that.
No.
Oh yeah. So my school bag is full of marbles, bananas, bottles of oil that I use to oil my unicycle that I ride all the time.
Right.
Why?
Juggling
why?
pins.
Do you have any turtle shells in there too? Like
No turtle shells.
Okay. Just checking.
A yo-yo, a slingshot, and a fushigi ball that is a magical artifact.
An orb of protection, as we found out.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so all those things in my school bag constantly cause very bad situations or very good ones.
Right.
Like the marbles just fall out all the time.
Carrying those?
Yeah.
Or
No, I gotta have my marbles.
yeah, like what if you need them, right?
That's
Don't
fine.
What if
lose your
it
marbles.
challenges you to a battle?
That's right.
You never know when it's going to come up. Ryan, can you tell us about your character?
Yeah. So I created Elvira Whispershanks. She's the haunted survivor. She was part of a magical girl troupe that was they had an encounter, unfortunately, with the brunt of Elvira's curse that eventually disappeared the rest of the group, leaving only Elvira behind. And shortly after then, her curse got intertwined with Amy Catherine's character, Amy Catherine, and goodness, been kind of best friends probably before the curse. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so.
And then kind of we all went to this school together to try to get a better handle on at least my powers, and I think maybe I think Amy Catherine just came along as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's goodness.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot going on there. Oh, and she's constantly fighting off like life or death forces that only herself and Amy Catherine can see.
Yes.
So it just looks like she's kind of dancing in the middle of nowhere, off and on. Just a small little quirk of knowing Elvira.
Life or death situation. It's just a small quirk.
It's fine.
It's just a cute, fun thing that she does.
I know. She's adorable. She flips over people randomly.
Mm-hmm.
How about yourself, Amelia?
Well, I made Amy Catherine Boyd, the reliable bestie. Amy Catherine is perpetually second place to Elvira. She has the same curse and kind of followed Elvira to this school thinking, you know, she's already lost so many people. She can't lose anybody else. I should definitely go with her. It's probably not because I'm in love with her. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, maybe a little bit it is. And now she's sort of battling and grappling with the fact that, like, she thinks she probably is smart enough to figure out how to break this curse, but everybody is so focused on Elvira and her need to, like, save her magical girl team that nobody really cares what Amy Catherine has to say about the whole thing. So,
except for Elvira,
maybe,
and maybe Gar a little bit.
maybe Gar a little bit, yeah. So yeah, just kind of trying to, like, maybe be first place once in a while.
Yeah.
But not at whatever the game that we made up is. I forgot what we called it.
Ready, set, serve.
Ready, set, serve.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Because we are perpetually in second place. Maybe that is the place where Amy Catherine can finally shine.
I know. It's the premier volleyball cooking show competition of the wizarding world. Yeah.
And our school's never won.
No,
so maybe
we have come so
Amy
close.
Catherine can like bring them to the championship.
I know. Seriously.
To finally be on top.
Oh, and that's not even to mention our principal, Meredith Bleep Blorp. If you have not listened to the character creation episodes, what are you doing?
Yeah, why?
But yeah,
Yes, the automaton who like lost her soul and had it replaced.
Potentially. So Meredith's soul got put into the automaton and then potentially got replaced with an imposter.
Right.
That's a rumor.
We
don't know if that's true.
That's a rumor. And we haven't even touched on the whole litigation situation with the mer people.
Oh yeah, where the school, the island that the school is on, got dropped into the middle of Lake Erie.
We were only recording for 2 hours. We did so much. we wrought so much havoc in 2 short hours.
Look at how much game Kids on Brooms packs into such a small time frame.
I know. It's very true.
What horror.
Well, let's go ahead and dive right into a segment that we are calling D20 for your thoughts.
D20 for your thoughts?
So in this segment, we talk to our guests about their thoughts on the character creation process as it relates to this system, as it relates to other games. And we also like to get to know you as people. So we always start with the most cliche question in role-playing podcasts. How did you start in RPGs?
John, you want to start?
Sure. So, I grew up in a really, really small town and couldn't find anybody to play D&D with. So I just read D&D books. And then once I moved to Ohio and started making some more gaming friends, I got into a D&D group, which I think we met for about a year maybe. And then it kind of fell apart because of scheduling conflicts.
As it does.
Yeah. And
as is tradition.
As is the curse and blessing of role-playing games. And then I kind of discovered, I always really struggled with being a GM because I felt like I had to create everything ahead of time. I never felt like I could run a game if I didn't know every little thing. So then I discovered, apocalypse-powered systems and like the zero prep GMing and kind of refell in love with role-playing games.
Yeah, those games have been such a blessing.
Yeah, huge inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a much lower barrier to entry, I think, for a lot of people to prep for that, because I always feel the same way when I go to like run a game. It's like, I gotta know everything all the time. And then like having games where it's like, no, you don't, and you can't. It's like, oh, okay. All right.
Compared to Heroes Unlimited, where to make a villain, you literally have to make a full character.
Wow.
Yeah, like I thought I had to have like the entire map of the town made, and like I didn't know that I could just like fill stuff in and leave blanks, and that was such a big revelation to me. Like if they say, "Is there a blacksmith in town?" I just say, "Yes, it's over here," and then draw it on the map.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I got started playing 2nd edition D&D in 7th grade, with some people from my Boy Scout troop, which is maybe the most cliched way to get into role-playing games ever.
That's how I learned Magic the Gathering, was Boy Scouts.
Yeah. And played that for a little while, was really, really, really into it, and then stopped playing for a while. And then sort of gradually fell back into it as I was starting to get back into board games in my 30s, and have never looked back.
Absolutely.
What made both of you make that jump from I'm a player, I'm a GM, to I need to make my own game? I know like a lot of us kind of like homebrew things and sort of like it's a slippery slope too. But I know for some people, it's like there's a moment of like, I need this game to exist.
Yeah. I was homebrewing stuff, back in 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
And, they were bad, right? They were unplayable, but
yeah, for sure.
But I thought they were awesome.
I don't think anything I did in like 7th or 8th grade, I look back on and I'm like, that was peak content.
Right,
Yep.
Right. Well, what about my novel? But yeah, and then the jump sort of started happening with I was designing board games and stuff, and realized that I was just way more interested in the narrative side of things than I was in the the sort of like mechanical design side of things. I like mechanics, but
right.
The story always interested me way more, in getting people to tell an interesting story is something I was trying to do with board games, and realized it's just better to do it with role-playing games.
Yeah, there's a lot more room for that narrative, and it's open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Jon? Did you have like a moment, or was it the same kind of slow decline into?
It was kind of a slow decline. So in high school, I also, I couldn't find people to play RPGs with. So I was like, I'm just going to make my own RPGs. Mm-hmm. And I spent like a year writing like a Final Fantasy VII RPG that was just utter garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many of those there are out there, because I feel like you're not the first person to say that it was Final Fantasy VII that was like the game that they were. I wonder how many people have Final Fantasy VII RPGs.
Oh, I think a lot.
Yeah,
because I grew up playing like video role playing games, so I was like, I'm going to turn this into pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of similar to Doug, like I'd been designing board games for a long time, and Dead of Winter, which is my most popular one, really borrowed a lot of my love of RPGs in it. With like the narratively driven and a lot of players making decisions based on like their own morality and their characters rather than mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love that, and I had dabbled. I actually have an RPG that I've never released that I designed before, Kids on Bikes, that I should revisit at some point. But then when the opportunity came up to do this with Doug, like I jumped at it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that was the same like kind of origin story that Ryan has. It's just like, I played RPG video games, and then was like, also you can do them not video games.
Yep. Absolutely. So what do you two look for in a system as far as character creation goes? Like, what sort of pieces need to be there for great characters to happen?
For great characters to happen, I think there have to be things that surprise the player about their character.
Ooh.
Like some of the questions where, like, not to flex too hard on this, but I think we do a pretty good job with character creation in here, right? That having some of those questions pop in there where you're like, I don't know if my character would do that.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments as you were going through those questions that you were like, like, what have you stolen from? And it was like, well, I wouldn't, but, well, I guess in this situation, I might.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The things that like really made me kind of question, like, what under what circumstances would I do those things?
Yeah. Especially the one about me trying to get your character expelled.
Yes. Yeah. That one I was like, would you? Like, I was waiting for you to say, like, re-roll it. I won't go with this. And you were like, no, actually, I think.
Let's lead into this.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because I think we're generally inclined to play some idealized version of ourselves in role-playing games.
For sure.
And using character creation to break us out of that, either to make them not idealized or to make them so different from ourselves. It's sort of like learning by play about the character. I think that's one of the big things for me, and simplicity, right? That one of my goals in role-playing games that I've learned just so much from Jon about is like just getting the mechanics to get out of the way of the playing. And the more you can do that, I think the more you let people lean into the mimicry aspect of it, where you're embodying this other character.
Yeah, and I think I agree. And like, it really needs to be about those like personal connections. Like the thing I used to do in like Shadowrun or D&D is like I would write down secrets for every character that connected them to another character every game, because the more you preload that, you know, I really liked it. And then, you know, Powered by Apocalypse kind of has like the character creation questions on the character sheet.
Yeah.
You know, and we just wanted to really build on that and try to make it like this robust thing of its own that isn't necessarily for, like, you do have the trope questions, you know, that can go with your specific thing, but like having those really general questions can just add so many twists before you even play. Like you feel like you're jumping in media res into this living world rather than like you find yourself at a tavern and you all know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I like games that kind of ask those sort of questions and force you to think about those. I know that my favorite role-playing game for a long time, still like a little bit has a warm place in my heart, was the 4th edition of the Legend of the Five Rings game, which has the game of 20 questions in there. And after you make your character, you go through and there's 20 questions. And the last one is, how will your character die? And I just really always liked answering that question of like, okay, how do I envision this going? Like, you know, it may not go that way in a game, but like, you know, now that I have picked out all of these flaws and these, you know, done all of these other things, like what is the culmination of those things? And just like as an interesting thought exercise was always really fun for me. And I like the way that more and more games are translating some of that into character creation and then adding it between characters too, of like, let's assume this is complicated and bad stuff's going to happen. Now what? Yep.
Yeah, and I do love the those relationship questions when games include those, because they add such a nice dynamic that you don't get from, you know, a quote unquote more traditional game where you're just creating your characters in a bubble.
Yeah.
And I think they give GMs so much more to work with, because now we've just like put all of these things on the table and there's all these extra strings to pull on. And we've also spent a lot of time laying out, these are the things that I want to play with. Like these are the concepts that I want to engage with. And I have handed them to you on a platter and said, here, go for it. Like, you know, there's so much more there than just like, I am strong, I am smart, I have 2 axes, and, you know, like, there's just a lot more there.
Yeah, in the design process, credit where credit is due, our friend Jay Treat was great at like pushing us to get better and better and better questions in there. So major credit to Jay.
Yes, like they're fantastic questions.
They're so good.
They're really good.
I had an experience recently. I have never played any of the Kids on systems in the past, and I recently started up a game with somebody where we were playing a different game, Symbaroum, very dark and gritty fantasy setting, but it doesn't have any of that like relationship building stuff. So the GM pulled in the questions, the relationship questions and the world building questions from Kids on Bikes.
Oh, cool.
And utilized that to build a relationship web. And once that relationship web was set, goodness, we had this like really rich interactions between all the characters that was would have been missing. Otherwise, we would have had to find all of that out in play. And I guarantee it would not have come up that same way.
No, and I have to say, as somebody who's the eternal player and like the never GM, because I don't like running games, I feel a lot more confident going into a game having done these kinds of relationship questions, because I already have a basis of what these interactions should be like and what kind of relationships I'm trying to role play. I already know going into this game that Ryan is going to be my best friend and that Gar and I are going to have like this weird thing happening. And, you know, like, so I'm already comfortable that like when there's downtime or sort of a lull in like, you know, the mechanical things happening, I can lean into that without feeling awkward. Like I already know that we've set this up and we're all okay with it and we're good. it doesn't feel that way in a lot of games. A lot of games, it's like, okay, well, I don't really know you and you don't really know me. So I guess we'll just stand here and I don't like, or awkwardly suddenly pretend we're best friends and have known each other for months.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel a lot more prepared going into a game when it has stuff like that.
Leading questions are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it almost sounds like we've been answering the next question even
Yeah.
a little bit here.
So our next question is, how do you think that character creation in this system stacks up against other games? In particular, I always like to ask, like, are there things that you felt like you had to have to make this a good, like, character creation process when you were writing a game? Like, this needs to be here, or things that you were like, we're definitely not doing that. Like, we're
No
definitely
Thaco.
not, like rolling 3d6.
Yeah.
No Thaco, yeah.
you're right. I think one of the things that we were big on when we were working on this was trying to streamline things, right? That
Yeah.
not overwhelming people with choice, that limiting your options can actually, I think, breed creativity for people. And so that was something that we were definitely working on with this. As far as like how it stacks up against other systems, that I like it.
Yeah. Like I tell people on this show all the time, like, go for it. Like, you made this game, you put it out into the world, like, have the courage of your convictions.
Sure.
I don't think you would have put it out if it wasn't a good game. It's a good game.
Right. And we've done some revisions, to stuff over time. There was one question in the original Kids on Bikes that it was a little bit problematic. And, I sort of wish we'd edited that out. But, as we've gone, we've, I think, fine-tuned the creation process and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really happy with it. And I think if there were anything that we said, oh, it'd be cool if we could, we would add it.
Right. And I think there's something to be said for like the fact that the longer you look at something, the easier it is to find things that you would have fixed or changed. Or, Ryan and I, just after 4 years, re-recorded episode 0 of this podcast because we listened back to it and we were like, this is a nightmare. And if this is the first thing people are hearing, like, this is, I'm embarrassed.
Right. Yep.
So, it's one of those, you learn things over time, and what you put out 5 years ago isn't necessarily reflective of who you are now. And if you stare at something too long, you can find.
Yeah, I tend to get blind to things when I stare at them too long. Like, I have a hard time seeing the nuances, but like getting a bunch of people playing it, like, revealed a ton of stuff too. And, helped us spot things that were missing. Like, our friend Ian pointed out that Kids on Bikes did not have bike creation rules in it or any rules about bikes at all.
Oh, no.
Oops.
And we're like, that makes a lot of sense. We should try put those in. So we released it as a free content Friday thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm going to go the other direction as Doug. Like, to me, it stands up to other systems because it's exactly the system I wanted. But it does every single thing I want in an RPG, like character and world creation.
Yeah.
So like, I'm really happy with what it does because it checks all my boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the systems that include the world creation as part of the session 0 with the groups. I always say this. Collaborative world building is the golden bullet of getting people invested in the game.
Yep.
Like, if you're collaborating together to piece together the setting that you're going to be playing in, everybody at the table has buy-in. Automatically.
I think finding ways to do that even in a game that has an established setting, because I know even when I do run L5R conventions too, we do things to like make that world ours. Like, we build our own clan, we build our own island, and things that can kind of bring everybody in and make them invested in this thing that we have created together. And so now it is ours, and it's not just me showing up to hand you something. It's a very different experience.
Yeah, it really pulls you in, and having that as part of character creation here, and then having like the amount of potential with the relationship questions about how you can, like, it's a D20 of questions worth of positive and negative. And I don't know if my character really knows your other character questions. And that there's so much possibility of creating, like we proved, we've made a nice tangled web of relationships.
Yeah.
And it really fleshed out not only our group and our connections, but also the world at the same time.
I like these kind of games because I think this one, and then when we did, who was the other one that we did the Spotlight episode on? But they both had like these creating the rumors, and then, you know, just like the one or two little pieces about the school. You know, it's like we made up a sport and some landmarks, and, you know, and it's like things that are not super intensive when you think of like world building. Like, let's create a political system in it, you know, and it was like, what is this weird sport that we all play?
Yeah.
And how much that can kind of influence the tone of the game. And, you know, again, is another string to pull on later, a thing that can come up. It's so much fun. I love the world building together.
And I'm always consistently surprised, like when I run or play it, like the same exact question can come up and have completely different results.
Yes. Every time, like totally different.
Like we put it in there that you can just skip a question if it comes up again, but like a lot of times they don't, and they'll just come up with an answer that blows me away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And playing with like a different group of people every time and getting, you know, like a totally different answers to those like rumors and things like that. Just, it's always phenomenal to me to see the amount of creativity that people have and bring to these kinds of things. And the stuff that people come up with like off the cuff, like always just blows my mind. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. And that's another thing I love about the collaboration process is, you know, I don't think we would have gotten into volleyball plus cooking competition.
No.
If it wasn't for like, well, I was thinking volleyball. Well, what do I mix that with? And you're like, well, I was going to say cooking competition.
Right. Yeah. With this,
of course, it has to be that.
Right.
Right.
I still don't understand how that works, but that's fine.
You don't have to know how it works, though. That's the great thing.
Right.
Like,
Right,
Quidditch doesn't make any sense at all.
No,
it's a
that's
stupid
true.
sport. So no reason ours should.
Right. Exactly.
You mean the rest of this game doesn't matter? It's just that one little thing that you have to get?
Yeah. And in Ready, Set, Serve, like the most important thing is your final plating.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like some GMs should just write a book instead of running games.
Yep.
Because like I've played in games where like the GM has such a strict idea for their thing, like it's so railroady. And you know, when you start playing with like that, you know, everyone building the world together, it just kind of takes that element out.
Yeah. It definitely pulls some of that ownership and like puts it in front of the group instead of being one person's game. Yeah.
All right. How does the process of character creation in this game reinforce the feel and set expectations for play? Yeah.
And that's something we've worked really hard on. I think that the idea is that when you get into the game, we're doing the same thing we were just doing there, right? The only difference is that sometimes we fail.
Right.
And that the conflict is more in the moment rather than, you know, big sort of overview.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want the character creation, the world building, and all of this to be so player centered that it's the GM asking questions and then the players filling it in. Not, you know, like John said, not like you're a character in my novel. You get to roll the die to determine whether your character does this or doesn't. But I'm telling the story here. You know, this is, John and I were working on something the other day and said like, boy, we'll really be in trouble if like our players figure out they could just take an improv class, right? Like, like that's the vibe we're going for. That, and the character creation and world building sets that up.
Yeah, I would agree. That sounds like what, you know, because what I can tell from having built characters is that it's going to be a pretty narrative heavy, relatively streamlined process to go through, that it's going to be focused on the story that we're telling, and then, you know, some dice here and there to kind of answer the question of what happens when I do the thing. But that it's not, you know, it's not combat heavy. It's not, you know, not lots of like dungeon crawls and, you know, creatures to fight and things like that. It's a lot more about the people.
Just wait for kids in caves.
Kids in caves. It's the next one.
Dudes in dungeons.
Yes, dudes in dungeons. So one thing we like to do here is look at the character sheet and talk about what it tells us about the games. We talk about the kind of design behind it, what things you really wanted to make sure were on the character sheets, what the placement of things kind of means to you. I know when we look at a sheet for something like D&D, there's lots of room for, the feats and abilities and the weapons and like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And PBTA has the book where the whole inside is all your moves, so you can clearly see that that's the focus. Mm-hmm. Was there specific stuff that you wanted here, or that you felt like, no, I definitely don't want that on the sheet?
I feel like it was pretty organic. Like, we kind of just made the character sheets. I think we did that really early in the design, like when we were talking about, using the full set of dice for the stats. Like, we just started adding boxes for those. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, we need a backpack so people can just write what's in their backpack there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think it all just kind of evolved very organically. And, when we started talking about skills being more mechanical, just we really didn't want to do like, oh, I have swimming, so I get a +1 when swimming. Mm-hmm. Like, those kind of things are, so boring. Where like, what if the skills were kind of almost like a board game, like a very mechanical thing, like you can spend adversity points to do this, or, you get these really nice things that you can trigger. So, just adding in the boxes for those and, letting players kind of fill stuff in themselves, like, made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and from there, it's really just, like answering the things that we answered. It's a lot of, like word, line, name, grade, your broom, your wand, your backpack, your strengths. Mm-hmm. So basically just running down the list of the things that we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that there wasn't a lot of stuff to abstract. I am not a fan of derived stats because they involve math and thinking things through. I liked that this was just, like, I pick this, so I write that down. Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we wanted to keep the math at just for the skill checks. Like, the GM sets the difficulty, you roll and figure if you're above or below and by how much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the sum total of the math in the game.
Right.
I love that. I'm here for it.
It's interesting because I'm looking at the character sheet, and it's as advertised for the game, it's very simplistic, and it's very straightforward, and it's everything you need to know about your character for everything that they have and can kind of do. But one thing it also tells me is I might need to have something for notes, like a notebook or something like that, because there's a lot going on that involves my character that you can't account for on a character sheet.
Right.
Aside from just a big old blank notes section, which takes up a ton of space.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if we had a big notes section, like, there's no way that we could have written all the stuff from the questions or anything. Like,
right, exactly.
Have to write that down. Like,
like if you go to like a Powered by the Apocalypse game, like all of the playbooks have the questions kind of stamped on the sheet itself. But when you're working with, the variability of, we're talking 60 potential questions for relationships per character that are shared amongst all the characters. And then the tropes have their own personal questions. That you don't want to create and kind of shoehorn yourself into, well, here's like 20 nearly identical character sheets that just have a difference between here's your personal questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I think definitely it makes sense to not have them on character sheets because those are shared questions between everybody. Mm-hmm. So, we answered those things, and the stories are going to come up even though it's between Elvira and Gar, you know? And so, like, it doesn't make sense for me to write those questions on my sheet, but they still might relate to something that comes, like that's kind of a shared group experience. It's not about my character.
Yeah. It also has the thought in my head of those questions can change. We don't have to have this specific 20 questions if we don't want to. We could maybe swap out a couple questions. We could take a question and alter it a bit. You know, the same thing we're kind of doing with all of this world building and relationship building collaboratively. We can kind of gear it towards what we want to do at the table, which is really
I think
cool.
there's definitely room, depending on your group, for, you know, a player or a GM or somebody to say like, hey, this is also a question we're going to add to the list.
Right.
You know, like here's a fifth question I want everybody to answer.
Right.
And so there's a lot of room for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
That, you know, you would end up with a 40-page character sheet, and it's just not, great.
In the adventure prompts in Strange Adventures Volume 1 and Volume 2, we have a bunch of those for the pre-generated towns, right? Like there are questions instead of the usual town creation questions, you do this stuff. But yeah, there's also room to do that with the inter-character questions too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we really wanted the game to be approachable to people who hadn't played RPGs before too. So we didn't want the character sheet to feel overwhelming and like homework when you looked at it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you looked at a second edition D&D character sheet, oof, I remember just feeling overwhelmed by it.
All the spots to write skills on a Heroes Unlimited character.
Yeah. So we just wanted to, you know, we did want it to communicate that, you know, this wasn't going to be work. This was going to be fun, and it's going to be quick, and you're not going to have to worry about a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you did a great job. It's very clear what, you know, I don't think there was a point where I was like, I don't know where this goes or what to do with it. It was,
Thank you.
it was good. And I felt like looking at the sheet kind of, in a lot of cases negated the need to like look at the book. I had to go there to look up some of the, you know, options for things, but it was like, okay, I know if I go down from the top to bottom, how to build a character. Like it's right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Its own little guide.
So now we're getting into one of the questions I like to ask, especially designers of the games that we cover. What do you think is one of the biggest flaws of character creation in this system, and what is one of the best parts?
I think I kind of regret us pulling back on some of the things we originally wanted to do with the system, and we had put more of our, you know, we talk about safety tools and things like that, but like, I really wish we'd done even more to piss off the people that don't like those things. To be honest, like,
Yeah, agreement on that.
yeah, more chair, more thoughtfulness.
Yeah, building off of what John said, I think we have short stuff about what what safety tools can look like. But one of the things that I've been getting interested in lately, like sort of right after Kids on Brooms was finalized, John and I both started getting really interested in how you build storytelling safety mechanics into the game itself, rather than having it be
like an optional outside tool that you bring in.
Right. Like,
okay,
so we're going to use the X card. Okay, cool. And the X card is great. Right. But rather than having that happen, like building in ways for the storytelling to require that you use it and have it just feel like it's sort of a natural part of it. Right. So, you know, if you're going to enter into conflict with another character, saying, the GM saying, are you good with this? Yes. Are you good with this? Yes. Right. Boom. It doesn't feel like make sure you see if somebody wants to tap the X card or anything like that. It's just, you're telling the story together. You're collaborating.
Right. And I think when you put it into the rules of the game and like make it part of it, it sort of not totally negates, obviously, but like it does diminish the ability for people to opt out of doing that.
Right.
Whereas, you know, suggesting those things in the beginning, people can like take them or leave them.
Right.
Yeah.
When you make it part of the mechanics, it's like, oh, we're just playing the game and it's safe.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's like a little bit of like in Thirsty Sword Lesbians, there's like that smitten mechanic. And I think we talked about this a little bit in the series. There was another game that I think it was Senda and Phil from Pandas Talking Games was working on, where you play as this group of people that have messy relationships with one another. And they have a smit mechanic where it's like, you're not saying my character is going to, flirt with your character or whatever, right? It's saying my character is smitten by this other character. Does that other character buy in or not, whether it's a GM NPC or if it's another player character? And then it has to have that consent both ways for that that sort of role play to happen. And I can see that working very well for something like conflict and all that sort of stuff, and baking that right into the rules of like, hey, are you both okay with this thing happening? Having a quick little check-in doesn't break the story at all. It doesn't break the immersion. It's just, hey, are we being safe here? Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead.
I think when it becomes a thing where you say like, okay, conflict is about to happen, and then you have to agree that conflict is about to happen for it to even like trigger initiative, when it becomes a rule like that, like there's no choice except to have that discussion of like, you can't, like, it just doesn't work. Ta-da. Problem solved. You know? Yeah, I think that's something I would love to see in more games. Is those safety tools kind of built in there, because then you can't end up with people who are like, I don't need that. You do actually.
Absolutely.
But I've been playing with the same RPG group for 45 years.
Right.
I wonder why no one else wants to join your RPG group.
I know.
I mean, are there things that you think that you've really just like nailed it?
I mean, like John said, this is close to exactly the game that I want to play. Yeah. So, I think
so all of it then.
Yeah, I mean, basically on the whole, I think we nail it. I think a lot of games. I think a lot of games nail it. I think ours is one of the many games that nails it.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah. I mean, and that's awesome to hear, though, that like you really are happy with it. That it's, I think not enough people get to that point of like, this is, the thing that I wanted to see. Yeah. I think sometimes we have to kind of sacrifice things here and there to get them out into the world. And so it's always really good to hear people say like, no, this was the thing that I wanted to make.
Yeah. And shout out to Hunters and Renegade for like giving us just so much creative freedom on this, right? That there hasn't been, I don't think, anything where they've said like, you can't do this.
That's awesome.
And it's been great. They really have let us make the game that we wanted to make, that we thought would be best. So
that's very cool.
Very cool. It's always good to hear. It makes me so happy when people are like, I made that, I did it. Like, yay.
And you didn't have to self-publish.
I know. And you didn't have to self-publish. Like, that's the real.
Yeah, that's the real win.
All right. Well, this is our favorite segment, the one we've been talking about this whole time. This is our fanfic segment where we talk about playing the game. What do we think would happen? Like, what kind of story are we throwing these characters into? How do we think it would go for them? The closest we come to playing a game.
Yeah. Well, goodness, we've got a classic love triangle going on. We've got almost inadvertently a best friend triangle thing going on with Jimmy, Elvira, and Amy Catherine. Because there was a lot of mentions of like Jimmy's hanging out with Elvira in this secret room. There's Jimmy helping and all this stuff. So it's like you've got these like really emotion filled relationships already from the get go.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting to kind of pull off of.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a question too of like, who is Amy Catherine if she's not Elvira's best friend?
Right.
Like, what's her, like, who is she by herself? I really would like her to participate in this cooking volleyball sport.
Ready, set, serve.
Ready, set, serve. Because I think she could really, like that could be the place that she can shine and maybe bring the team to the top. And maybe that's something that she can do without Elvira. Maybe Gar can be on the team too.
I was actually going to ask the question how Gar kind of got involved with us, since like there's this kind of friendship between all three of us.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think realistically, if I were playing Gar, my friend who I game with weekly has jokes with me that like when I play a character, no matter what they start out as, they wind up being me. So
Yeah.
I think if I did wind up playing Gar, he would sort of morph gradually. Like I think I would have to give him a redemption arc, even if I'm not sure that people
Right.
like him deserve redemption arcs.
Right.
I don't know. I think he was just that way. Like his parents were never around. They're always busy
Right.
with this legal battle. And he's,
Yeah.
probably got like a series of nannies
Yeah, I think I'd have to have
that he
him.
torments probably.
Right. I think I'd have to have him suffer really, really badly before there was any sort of like redemptive potential there. But
Hmm.
I think we all want that.
we're all here for the suffering.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I think
But I mean, before the suffering, there's got to be something, because I know Elvira's got this like hopeful optimism like
Mhm.
underneath all of the torment that she's been going through, and I think she would see something in Gar that even Gar won't ever acknowledge,
right.
and maybe that might have pulled Gar a little bit into this this trio
Mhm.
of sorts.
Yeah, I think at the start there'd be a lot of Gar saying like doing something nice and then insisting that there was an ulterior motive for it. And I think
Yeah.
at first that would be true. And then I think there would be less and less room for him to say that there really was an ulterior motive. But yeah, sort of on a meta thing, like I always think that when you're playing, you have to think about like not, well, tell me why my character is hanging out with you, but
Mhm.
coming up with reasons for the character to be there, right? Like, even if it's a series of like unexpected events to put him together with the other three, I would just lean into that, right? Like,
Yeah.
they all are in the infirmary together and he happens to be there when this thing happens. Like, cool.
Yeah.
Great. He's not running off. He's saying, well, I guess I'll stay.
Yeah. I like that. I like that the happenstance gathering for Gar's storyline, because Gar feels very much like a almost a loner type.
Yeah. For sure.
Even though he, has this big persona that, everybody quote unquote respects to Gar because of who Gar is, where Gar comes from, and all that sort of stuff. But then that doesn't equate to friendship.
Right.
Yeah, I think he totally tells himself that he's alone by choice, but he's not.
Right. Nobody's
he's
as cool as I am.
obnoxious.
So
Yeah. Right.
I don't want to hang out with them.
Right. Exactly.
They can't keep up with me.
Right.
But then you find yourself in all these situations, right? Gar's just happens to be in the wrong place at the wrong time with these other three.
Right.
Whether Jimmy's bumbling us into potential trouble and somehow getting us out of it at the same time.
Jimmy.
or my curse is literally like, haunting us as a group or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. And we got to figure out what's up with Meredith. Right.
We do have to figure out
like that
what's
feels
up
like
with Meredith.
I feel like that's maybe like the place that this starts is like we have to figure out.
Oh yeah, I think we're deeply invested in that rumor, and we're gonna
Right.
start poking our wands into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
And
I think maybe
gotta find
Gar is going to start like interning at the Blurb Corporation. Blurb
Right.
Corp.
Blurb Corp.
Blurb. And that is the name. It has to be.
Well, and their website is blurbcorp.org. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a nonprofit?
They are. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Tenuously,
Suspicious.
but they're a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we gotta find the sock closet again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if there is a link between Meredith and this like rumored, necropolis, I guess, beneath the school.
Oh, I forgot about the necromancy students.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the necromancy classes are a known thing, but like,
Yeah.
they have school projects to raise
Right.
the dead.
Right.
And those school projects are quote unquote discarded afterwards.
Mhm.
Right.
But I mean, if you were a school that had to protect itself from who knows what, having an undead army on
Right
the ready
underneath the school,
would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are there special rules for getting into the necromancy classes? Do you have to like get a permission slip from a parent, or can you just like take those? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. I think it's just assumed, right?
Yeah. I think if you're going to the school, anything's fair game. Any
Yep.
of the classes are fair game.
Right. Well, it's a very prestigious
Yeah.
order of
Mhm.
fantasticism.
Yeah.
I think we originally had like house creation as a thing, didn't we? Doug?
We did. Yeah, we did.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that would play into like what classes you could take, but we decided to cut it because it was too indicative of one very specific magical school
yeah.
story.
Right.
Hmm.
And we just found it was too restrictive and not fun.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like it needs it.
It also separated players, right? Like there's no way that all of our characters would be in the same house, however you split it up, unless it's random.
Yeah.
And so then it just complicated things. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like it suffered for it. I wasn't like looking for it or anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But now we can be our best selves at Poof.
At Poof. Who can work for Blurb Corp?
Work for Blurb Corp.
The Blurb Corp secretly owns Poof.
Yeah, so is Blurb Corp located then on this island in Lake Erie? Like, how big is this island?
It can't be on the island.
No one
It
knows
has
where
to be.
Blurb Corp is.
Yeah.
Oh, you work remotely?
My internship was remote. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Or yeah, I
just,
guess you could travel magically,
Yeah,
probably,
yeah.
and not know your location.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Where is Blurb Corp? Maybe it's in the necropolis.
Mm. Ooh.
Maybe all the secret ingredients are necromancy.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's people.
Well, it's former people.
Okay.
It's
Okay. Former people.
I love the description of raised from the dead people as former people.
Former people. Yeah.
They're just former people. They're not using their
Post-human.
bodies anymore.
That's right.
So their entire workforce is undead then.
Mhm.
I like that.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's how
Yeah.
you cut costs.
Right.
Right.
True.
Well, I did go on an entirely other podcast and talk about the economics of necromancy and raising the undead. So, it's, skeleton armies are cheap labor.
You
what
know
I'm
that
saying.
Amazon would if they could.
Well, right. Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
Oh, Blurb
It's
Corp,
so good.
why?
Yep.
Oh, goodness. Well, I mean, there's still
Yeah.
a lot of questions that we have left to answer, but my goodness.
I think that I think we've solved
there-
it.
More than enough strings that we
Yeah.
could be pulling on
Hmm.
for this fanfic.
Definitely.
And we probably would be here for another 2 hours if we.
Also, there's a prom. I just want to put that in there. There's a prom somewhere.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, gosh,
Yeah.
there has to be a
Okay.
prom.
All right. Just want to
Okay.
put that out there.
Magic prom, absolutely.
Magic prom. Check.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into our advancement segment with all of that said. And we will take it up a level.
Take it up a level. Take it up a level.
So in this segment, we like to talk about how character growth happens in the system. First, we'll just talk about how does a character level up mechanically in this game over the course of a campaign.
Well, so originally in Kids on Bikes, we decided not to put one in purposely
Mhm.
because we're like, I mean, if you think of like any movie like that or TV show or comic book series, like they don't really
grow
change
up.
that much
Yeah.
between 1 year and I as a kid didn't change that much from year to year.
Mhm.
But then in this we kind of wanted to. So go ahead, Doug. You can talk about that.
Yeah. And then in Teens in Space, we kind of went in the opposite direction, right? Like the space opera genre is like characters are getting better and better and better and better pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So for here, we decided that, in keeping with the school aspect of it, we were going to have classes. And then as you practice magic using a particular stat, you can gradually work your way up in there, right? One of the strengths that you can take is, and we forgot to talk about this in the creation part, but as upperclassmen, each of us would have one of our strengths would be skilled at a particular kind of magic or trained in, I think is the trained in one particular type of magic that gives us +1 to all spells of that type.
Okay.
But then we can also get to, with enough sort of checks in there, which you would get at the end of a session, right? So I would say, Gar used really a lot of like fight magic in here, so he's going to take a check in that. And then over time, that would convert into him becoming studied in that, which gives him a +3, and then ultimately master of, which would give him a +5.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But other than that, that's pretty much it, right? We wanted to keep this focused on the way that your character narratively changes, right? The way that your bonds with other characters change.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing.
Now, does the mechanical benefit represent something in the story, like advancing in your classes or anything like that?
It's really just practice, right? That the more you practice a kind of magic, the better you're going to get at it.
Okay.
So
Very cool.
I like that. I like that it lines up. I always prefer when narratively there's some kind of explanation for, I say like, it's no fun when you've been like doing this campaign through the desert and it's like, my next level is sailing. Like, why?
Because I've just been thinking about sailing.
Just really thinking about boats.
Yep. I wish we had a boat and, maybe some water.
Right. Exactly. That's what it was. It was like so parched that I thought about nothing but water for months. And now I know how to sail.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like when it's not a stretch.
Absolutely. It seems like it's got a nice opening for some advancing for a little bit longer of a campaign. It doesn't kind of push you into like a 1 or 2 shot, or even maybe like a 4 shot or so. It leaves room to have an ongoing thing for a while, until you graduate. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there is some sort of ending point at the very least.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Which again, always prefer.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to point out before we wrapped up the series, Doug or John?
I don't think so. Doug, do you have anything?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, well, I will. I do have to do one small plug here.
Yes.
If you enjoy Kids on Brooms and you want to add another element to the game, there is also a game called Duel of Wands, which is a 2-player card game of spell slinging at each other in the Kids on Brooms universe that you can integrate into the game. That's out from Renegade.
Nice.
I saw that on Instagram earlier when I was like scrolling through. Like I searched like the hashtag Kids on Brooms and it came up. It looked fun. It's really pretty art.
Yeah, Heather did the art for that one. And as always, she knocks everything she does out. It's ridiculous. So shameless self-promotion for that one.
Yes. We'll put a link to it in the description too,
Awesome.
in the show notes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Doug, Jonathan, thank you both so much for joining us to talk about Kids on Brooms. This was really fantastic.
This was so much fun. Like, what a good game.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having us.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah.
This was as much fun as I've ever had on a podcast interview. So,
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
100%.
Well, can you both remind everyone where they can find you online and the other things you're working on?
Sure thing. I am on Twitter at Doug Levandowski, Levandowski, where I talk somewhat infrequently about my stuff. I'm not a daily poster there, even though I know for the algorithm I ought to be. But John and I are working on a secret Kids On project. We are also working on Kids in Capes with 4 other folks who have just all so awesome to work with. And working on a game called Home about surviving the night in a haunted house with Yunsu Kim. And I think that's everything that's been announced. So, yeah.
Very cool.
We should just continue making jokes of other kids on things. Like I want it to be like kids on planes.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
That one's just going to be snakes on planes. And you're just role-playing the snakes from the movie.
Well, but it's child snakes though. I just want to be clear that like they are baby snakes.
Yeah, they're baby snakes.
Banana wrote an adventure prompt for that in the free content Friday for 2020, I think.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
We're going to have to go find all of these like bonus ones of like dads on mowers and snakes on a plane. And pretty soon I will write moms in Target.
Moms in Target.
Please do.
I kind of want to. I have no idea like where to even start with that, but I kind of want to. Anyway.
And you can find me on Twitter at Jon Gilmour, JONGILMOUR. I also don't post there as much as I should, but I try to link projects and have discussions from time to time. And if you want to check out things that I've done recently, Collab was just on Kickstarter, and that'll be delivering later this year. There should be a link to pre-order it on the Kickstarter page. And I've got a few other projects coming up that hopefully I'll be able to talk more about soon.
Very cool.
Awesome.
As well as the stuff Doug talked about.
Yes. Well, thank you both so much for sitting down with us. This was I had a blast. This was so fun. And thank you to everyone for tuning in.
Call to action.
Yeah, like that.
I love the Kids On series of games so much that for what you can create in it, like I came into these series not really knowing much about what the games are about, aside from, you can do Stranger Things or the Goonies or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But it's a lot more malleable than that. Like you've got the relationship questions, the world building. You've got like very malleable character creation options in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was really uncertain. Like, I will be out there and say it. I was really uncertain going into these ones because I knew about Kids on Bikes, and I knew it was based off of Stranger Things, which has such strong D&D vibes that I was like, why did you make a game based off a show that's heavily influenced by another game? Like, that seems too meta. And then, I'm like, and then there's a Magical Kids one that I'm always like, I don't want to play Harry Potter. Like it always goes there. I know when we did our Star-Crossed episodes, I very distinctly said, I don't want this to be Hogwarts. And so I was really just like not sure what to expect going into this. And I think we do get we got into that a little bit in this episode about, how it's not Hogwarts. And I was just really surprised at, how sleek the mechanics were and how thoughtful a lot of it was, considering the source of the ideas and things. It was really cool. It was really cool. I came away with a much greater appreciation for it than I thought I would.
Absolutely. And I know we probably could have gone so many more places with the fanfic.
For sure. But
there's so many threads. There's so many threads. Like we did a full relationship, web, positive, negative, character relationships between every character pairing. And it was fantastic, and it created so much story that you can pull on. So very, very impressed by this whole game and the series. And I'm really looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with like Kids in Capes and some of their other projects. Like it is really interesting because they're all genres that you're like, we already have games for that, but they're really doing things differently.
Absolutely.
It was cool. It was very cool. So before we let you go to the outtakes announcements, our calls to action, we'll try and keep it shorter maybe than we did earlier.
Absolutely.
Probably won't.
Probably. So check out our brand new TikTok page at Character Creation Cast on TikTok. I'm going to be keeping on posting those teasers there, but what else do you want to see? Let us know. Maybe we'll do something else. So ideas are nice. You can hit us up on Twitter at CreationCast or on Discord at discord.charactercreationcast.com.
Please check out the trans rights bundle on itch. It's going to be ending fairly soon, but it's such a good deal. It is a suggested donation of $5. It helps kids that are suffering down in Texas after some really damaging anti-trans legislation. So please check that out. Consider giving more than the minimum amount if you're able to, in order to help people out. But it is like 500 games. So, it's a great deal. It's a great deal.
And if you have some time after all of that, consider leaving a rating and review for our podcast. Stitcher doesn't do reviews anymore, but we still have Apple Podcasts, which I know is a pain for some people. And we also have Podchaser, which is much less of a pain for everybody. And there's also places like Podcast Addict on Android that you can leave reviews. And that's kind of it.
You can leave one on our Facebook page. We do have a Facebook page too for our show. And you can leave reviews there as well. But yeah, there's not too many review places out there, but if you leave a review somewhere like very niche, let us know and we'll read it as well on the show. We're out of reviews again, so we would love to get more to read on the next episodes. Yeah, and definitely if you've left us one and we haven't read it, like please let us know too, because I think we've tried to catch them all from all of the places and aggregate them. But if for some reason we've missed yours, please let us know because we do want to read them. We will have at some point soon, maybe by the time this comes out, I don't know, an episode on the One Shot Network Patreon feed where I make characters with my kids using Weird Scouts RPG. You can get access to that by becoming a patron at the $5 or up level at patreon.com/oneshotpodcast. We are also going to be adding new shirts to the network's TeePublic store. So if you're looking for some C3 merch, we will have you covered there. We'll put a link to that in the show notes, but I'm excited for some of the designs that I've been playing around with. Yeah, it's about time. It's good fun. I'm very excited for it. I know, 4 years in, we really needed to. And we definitely still want to commission an artist for some stuff. It's just been, like a question of finding the finances and stuff because we don't get paid to make this show. Absolutely. So, and we want to pay an artist what they're worth. So absolutely. So please check that out and also check out our bonus episode from last week about Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, a slice of life RPG that is currently crowdfunding. They're crowdfunding on IndieGoGo, not Kickstarter. So check them out there. We'll have a link in the show notes. But please listen to that episode. And if you enjoy what you hear, check out their IndieGoGo page. We really had a fantastic discussion about playing shared characters and what exactly makes something an RPG. We were really excited for the game and hope you'll be too. There's going to be a link to that campaign in our show notes. That's it for March episodes. We cannot wait for you to join us for April as we celebrate 4 years of Character Creation Cast. 4 years. 4 years. 4 more years. By covering a truly amazing game. You will not want to miss those episodes. They are excellent. I know Ryan hasn't edited them yet, but I was there when we recorded them and they were excellent. So please don't miss it and join us in celebrating 4 years. Absolutely. Until then, take care of yourselves, drink some water, get some rest, get vaccinated, stay safe, keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time. Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can be found in the show notes. If you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we have links to various review platforms out there, including Apple Podcasts, in our show notes. Also, check the show notes for links to our other projects.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We will see you next time.
Now we gotta read some show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs. Character Creation Cast is hosted by the One Shot Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, visit oneshotpodcast.com, where you'll find other great shows like Neoscum.
Neoscum is a narrative comedy podcast featuring 5 Chicago improvisers antagonizing their way through the role-playing classic Shadowrun. It follows a group of misfits and outsiders: Z, the acerbic cyber troublemaker; Pox, the candy junkie klepto from across the pond; Tech Wizard, the public access actor with a petulant thirst for adventure; and Dak Rambo, the nastiest trucker this side of the Robo-Mason-Dixon. Join the irascible Neoscum crew on a puerile rockin' road trip through a weirdo world of tomorrow, doling out street justice to every deeb they encounter, whether they deserve it or not.
Recording.
There we go. Oh, it looks...
I thought we were going to start on 1.
Oh, that's...
I think I need to start over.
That's fine.
It's close enough.
One's close enough.
Okay.
We'll make it work. It looks different. This is my first time recording in the new version of Audacity, and it's weirding me out because it looks different.
I don't like change, so I would
look
prefer not
too
to
different. It just adds a little line at the top. It just...
Oh.
It's... I don't...
Like the little level line or one of the other ones? Because, yeah, I haven't used it in like a year or two.
Yeah, it's there's like a little line that has the clip name on it. And so you can actually, like, when you're editing, you can move those clips around and put in different audio files as clips. And and it works just like almost every other editing program there is.
I know I just got mad at printers for not changing over several years, but I would also like other things to not change. Like, I've been overdue for a new phone for like a year and a half, and there's cracks in the screen and like the touch screen's starting to get funky, but like, I don't want to, like, the world is so unstable right now, and the idea of having to learn a new interface on a phone is like too much for me. It's too much.
Too much.
Can't do it. I forgot to take my Adderall before we started, so I did quick.
You're still... There we go. Now we can hear you.
Oh, I had to move my mic closer. I said I forgot to take my Adderall before we started, and was like, if this is going to be successful, we're going to need to go ahead and do that. Priorities. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Just saying.
Yeah.
You get, see, no, that's not true. We don't even get one swear word. Brian doesn't let us. So
I know. it'll get an language bleep to it.
Yep.
It's fine.
Yep. Nate says that now when I swear. Like, if I swear in front of my son, he now uses Ryan's language, which is the filter that he puts in the podcast episodes. It's great. It's great.
I'm glad that
my son is filtering me.
Yep. It's fine.
I did it.
I think I did it like half a second.
I did a clicky.
Not even half a second too late.
You're the one that says clicky. How can you do it late?
I was a little confused because I'm on one screen. I don't know why. But my waveforms look nice. So that's the important part.
I'm writing myself a little post-it note that says Audacity update.
Audacity
I'm going to stick it on my monitor and then promptly ignore it.
It's not bad. It's just got a little bar at the top. It makes it look more modular.
Oh, yeah. See, I wasn't even talking about like the difference thing. It's just that's like the ADHD thing, is that like I'll see the note, and then eventually if the note is there too long, it becomes part of the decor.
Yep.
And I don't see it anymore.
I understand that.
I had to like move around the sticky note to remind myself to give the kids their medications, because like I got so used to seeing it. Like, I put it on the door thinking when we walk out the door, it'll be there, and I'll see, like, before we walk out the door, like, oh no, stop. There's a train. And you know, it worked like that for like 3 days. And it was so
you just gotta, every time you use the note, you move it somewhere else.
Right. I actually like put the medication in the drawer in the kitchen, right where the like sandwich bags and stuff are. So I see the medication when I'm making sandwiches, making lunches. It's right there.
So that's what you got to do.
Still doesn't always help, but you do what you can.
Yeah. Account for as much as possible.
Right. Sometimes the kids remind me. They're okay. Like Sunday, I wanted them to do something, and Nate goes, "Yeah, you're going to need to medicate me for that." And I was like, "Thank you for knowing yourself. I will do that." I was like, "Good reminder. I'm going to go take mine too."
Yeah. Well, in 3 weeks or so, construction might begin for my new studio.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited for that. And I have no idea what I'm going to do with my desk in the meantime. Probably the other side of the basement and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
How are you going to work through like that?
Work on the other side of the basement and hope for the best.
Oh, I see. Okay. That was the whole plan. I thought there was like a step 2 there. That was the whole thing. Okay.
Pretty much it. Yep. I really would like to put up my curtains / my blankets hanging from the ceiling, but I cannot in that room, unfortunately. We have to clear out space in this room down here so they can have construction materials and enough room to put up the walls because they need to lay the walls down and then push them upwards into position and blah, blah, blah.
Like some like cool barn raising. Like. Yeah.
So they got to do that.
I've built a basement before.
I know.
I have actually.
Oh, wow.
Like twice, but I'm not obviously by myself. But my dad is extremely handy. And so we have, he finishes his own basements.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he did. He built like a he fully finished our basement at our last house. Had like a bathroom and a bedroom and a fireplace and like.
That's amazing.
The whole shebang.
It always blows me away that people can do that.
I know.
And it's like,
I wish I knew how.
Around and it's like this all got created somehow.
Yeah. I wish I knew how. And I feel like if somebody like walked me through, I could roughly get it. The part that I could not get is that like measure twice, cut once thing. Yeah. I would be like measure 12 times, cut like roughly 47 times because I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
It would end up being like 4 times as expensive for me because I would just like mess it up so much.
Yeah.
You know?
I get that.
Construction has maths is what I'm saying.
Well, right. Well, so does architecture. So
Right.
Yeah. I get that. I understand that.
Yeah, like I'm fine like doing the stuff with my hand, like, but I need somebody to like math at it for me.
Yeah.
So I have no problem like doing all the like putting all the stuff up and nailing things and hammering and with the tools and the whatnot. But
with the tools and the thing
with the tools and the whatnot. I just can't. I can't math it out.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just have somebody else math it for you, and then you can do everything.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you're all set. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a new studio because then I can get consistent waveforms. Because right now I peak whenever I laugh real hard.
Oh.
So like I'm going through these edits, and every single time I see myself laugh, I know it's going to crackle a little bit. So then, then it
is that just because it's too echoey in there,
I don't know if it's, but I think it's just because I've had to like turn down the gain and compensate by getting close to the mic. Yeah. And then when I'm too close to the mic in conversation and I laugh real loud, it just peaks just during
so now you got to like learn to lean back when you laugh.
Lean back and laugh. Lean into it.
Yeah, do that old lean and laugh.
Lean and laugh. LOL. Wait,
LOL.
LAL.
LAL. Lol.
Lol.
Wow.
But yeah, it's annoying. But I've got this cool little thing where I can just go into the waveform, highlight that little peak, and decrackle it.
Nice.
And it just gets rid of it.
So fancy.
I know. If only I got paid for all this work so I could actually like afford the tools that I bought.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to fix that.
I know. Someday.
Yeah.
So, cold open. 6 minutes into it.
I heard of that.
We get most of our outtakes from these cold opens.
Oh, I'm well aware.
So, hello, outtakes.
I was just trying to think of anything else that I want to put in here. I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh, should we put in here that you made us a TikTok now?
Oh, yeah. The Tiki-Takis.
Hey, get out of the closet.
Do you check out the spotlight? Another thing. Speaking of Patreon, blah. One last announcement.
Quit looking for trouble, would you?
Talk.
Okay, you're looking for something to get into. Hi. Hello. You're a very beautiful dog. Yeah. Yeah, just the prettiest dog ever. Yeah. Prettiest dog to ever live. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, and these people on the podcast will never know because they can't see you.
No.
No. And they're definitely not supposed to hear you.
Unless they follow your Twitter.
It's true. Unless they follow me on Twitter or Instagram, then they know how beautiful you are. Yeah. It's very beautiful. More chin scritches. Every time I start to move my hand away, she moves her head, so it's like back underneath it. She likes to do it while I'm trying to play video games, too. She likes to try and get her nose under my fingers. I'm like, I need those buttons. Peggy, it's a boss fight. I like to interrupt the boss fights, yeah.
The boss fight.
Peggy is the final boss.
Oh, there you go. One last thing. One more thing before I go.
I'd love to figure out what else to do with that TikTok page, but...
I know, right? I mean, one day we might think of something clever, but...
We could do, like, mini fanfics. Just, like, mini...
we could do your dog doing character creation.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. And then use your hands.
Could have
Like, roll the dice and write down stuff on character sheets. That'd be adorable. Look at how big she is. Peggy.
It might make me finally get TikTok.
Like and subscribe. Is that what they say?
As the kids say. Be sure to smash that like button. Or something. I don't know. But whatever the youths say.
Okay, I think we got it. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
10 minutes in, and we're ready to start.
Yeah.
All right. You all set over there?
Probably. My dog's walking toward the door, so I think she's going to start banging on the door handle here shortly.
Okay.
Nope, get off my desk.
No, she just wants your soda.
Get off my desk.
Peggy, soda's not for doggos.
Okay, I will sit here and pet you if that will keep you quiet.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, here comes the silence.
Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, you probably can't because the microphone. She's letting out like the loudest snorts. Like, I mean, it sounds like she's snoring.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, we're going to do our best. She's playing fetch with herself right now.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll try it.
Well, here we go.
Okay.
Welcome to the first episode of Series 488. Okay, we'll try that again.
So yeah, I like Girl Scout cookies if you like them too. Ow, my dog just straight up bit me.
Come on, Peggy.
She was trying to play with a toy and then she bit me. Ow.
Oh, Peggy.
Okay.
All these surprises.
I tell everybody that, like, that's the fun of ADHD is that life is full of surprises, even from yourself.
That's very true.
She really got me. Holy crap.
Okay.
We were playing tug of war and she like went to like grab it because I was like, if I'm playing with her, she'll be quiet. Kind of.
Yeah.
All right. Scrolling down, reading the rest of this.
Ooh, he did it.
Well, under 30 minutes.
26 minutes.
So Ryan, what got you into podcasting?
I was listening to podcasts back in 2017, I think it was. I first started listening to podcasts. Decided, hey, I'll start listening to stuff about role-playing games because I haven't been able to play for ages because, friends don't live near me anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what podcasts are out there? So I started listening to DM's Block, which is like based around advice for dungeon masters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were having issues with their website because I wanted more information on some stuff. I do web design as well.
Oh,
So I reached out to them and said, hey, do you need any help? And they're like, yeah, we have no idea what we're doing because the guy that set all of that up is no longer with the show. And so I became their webmaster.
okay.
And then they asked me to judge the second season of the Geek Wars podcast, which is like a big trivia show for just geeky trivia.
Okay.
And so I did the first episode with just a junky headset, like a USB headset, like no sound bleed protection at all, and a really bad microphone. And I said, you know, that there's going to be quite a few episodes of this. I should probably upgrade to a better mic because when I do things, I want to do them right. So even if it was just going to be this like 10 episode season of guest judging on a show, I wanted to have good audio quality. Well, that led me down a rabbit hole. And so listening to more podcasts, and then wanted to create this podcast, and it just kind of spiraled from there. So now I do this with Amelia, you know, once or twice a month we do recordings. And then I edit this, and then I've gone from editing just this to actually editing actual plays and audio dramas as well. Wow. So I do like full soundscapes, full sound design, music placement, you know, music and sound alterations, and all that sort of fun stuff.
Cool.
Trying to eat some Thin Mints. I haven't had any yet. I have been so good. They have been in my house for like 4 days. I haven't had any Thin Mints yet. Oh,
is this your first Thin Mint indulgence?
I ate some of the lemonades, but I didn't eat any Thin Mints. The kids ate like a bunch, but I had so many boxes of Thin Mints in my house, and I haven't eaten any.
Wow.
Their new French toast ones are so good.
Oh, yeah?
The Toastiers
I do like those.
Or whatever.
I am so sad that they got rid of the Thanks-a-Lots.
Is that the s'mores one?
The ones that are just a shortbread with chocolate on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, they got rid of those a while ago.
I know. I'm so sad.
Everybody was mad about them getting rid of the s'mores ones this year to replace them with those like brownie, the Adventurefuls. The brownies
the
ones with like
garbage.
They have like a brownie and like salted caramel in the middle. They're amazing.
Yeah. I had very low expectations for those, but then when I had one, I was like, these are actually way better than they ought to be.
They're too crunchy. They need to be chewy. If they were chewy, they'd be out of this world.
Well, see, that's the weird thing is if I'm thinking the opposite. If they were chewy, it would lose some of it.
It'd be too chewy?
It'd be too chewy, yeah.
I need to try them now that they're like room temperature. We got a box. You know, like as a, here's the new cookie, everybody gets a box. But they were like handing them out from outside. So it was very cold and we did not want to wait. So the caramel in the center was pretty hard.
So you got the cold caramel taste.
Yeah.
There is a flavor to like fresh out of the freezer that like permeates whatever flavor of Girl Scout cookie you're going to be eating.
Well, this was not freezer flavor. This was outside Wisconsin flavor. So
I don't hear the difference.
Touché.
Are we all set to continue on with the questions?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
I have now finished chewing, so yes, we can go ahead.
I don't think I have.
So good.
All right, and now we can go ahead and stop these recordings here. Yeah.
Yeah, my dog's really loud back there. I was just trying to see if it showed up in the waveforms, but it doesn't. So,
itty bitty squeaking sound. It's not too
just
bad.
kind of like it's not even squeaky. It's just like, you know, it's like a rubber.
Gnashy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, this is like. Hold on, I gotta move you over here and then move this over here because otherwise my microphone stand is in the way. What was it? Something legs. I remember. Long legs, or no, it wasn't long legs though. It was something else. Because long legs would be like normally sexy. It was something that was like Sexy? Well, like
Was
not.
it the huge legs?
No, it's huge legs. I don't remember.
Huge legs.
Huge legs.
We have it on audio somewhere.
Yeah,
So.
somewhere. Let me know.
Yeah, I'll try to
in
find
a couple
it.
weeks. Let me know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was part of the Jeff and John recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I like, for some reason, I want to say it starts with a D because that's like in my, like, but I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
So, do you know how that, like, we're like, I'm sure that it sounds like, and then you find out what the word is, and it's like not that at all.
Nothing remotely like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
my brain
that
put those together. Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, basement's almost done. I have to take this down, this bookshelf before the next recording. So next recording, there's just going to be, I guess, a blanket behind me. I don't know. Maybe
A basement?
A basement? No, not a basement. I'll have to have blankets hanging from the rafters still because it's still going to be in my blanket fort for the recording on Sunday.
Soundproofing.
But the outside of the blanket fort, there will be walls up, like
Nice.
the I don't know what you call them, the frames.
Yeah, like the wood part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the wood part's being done this
The
week,
studs.
as well as the electrical wiring.
Very cool.
So I'm excited.
Very, very cool.
One step closer.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
podcast.
Recording the cold open, and then
All
I could
right.
go on a walk.
I will do a 5 count and then we'll do it. I almost said then we'll sing, but we're not going to sing.
Let's sing the cold open.
Sing the cold open. Welcome
that's
to
for
the
April.
second episode. It's a song I
Et
wrote.
cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Let's just do this.
All right.
Ready?
Yep. All right. I'm going to do the recap quick before I forget. Last time on Character Creation Cast, we created a magic school called Poof with headmistress Meredith Blorp, trying to keep things...
I am not part of these recaps, but I forgot we called it Poof.
Yep. Poof. Headmistress Meredith Bleep Blorp.
Meredith Bleep Blorp.
We let you go for the week.
Oh, I guess. I was like waiting for you because I'm like, I said some stuff. You said I said things about game. Which, by the way, is what I do through all of the episodes. So I don't know why you got to put it in the cold open to like say things about game.
It's called action. It's like one
didn't
of those.
I already do 4 hours of say things about game?
Yeah, it's one of those friendly, like, hey, welcome to our new space. Sit down. We're going to talk about how we like it.
Would you like to see a menu?
It's a nice little segue. Here's a little, a little taste of what we
Today's
enjoyed from this
specials
episode. Yeah. Introduce you into a little bit of a relationship leading questions, and
Sure.
might as well.
So now, do you say that because you know that you can't leave one in Podcast Addict on Apple?
There is no Podcast Addict on it.
Yeah, there is because I was just using it.
There
earlier.
is now?
Yeah.
No, you're blowing my mind.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, no, you know what? No, there's not. You're right.
Oh,
It's Pocket Casts is the one that I use.
oh yeah, that's
That's
different.
right. You're
Can't
right.
leave reviews on Pocket Casts. Can you?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I usually try to leave them on iTunes because that's the easiest for everybody.
Yeah.
Or I just yell into the void of Twitter. Like, hey, Twitter,
Uh-huh.
look at this show.
Oi, Twitter.
Oi, Twitter. Hey, Twitter. Okay. Yeah. So
Most of that's going to get cut out, but
right. So just to refresh, after I interrupted Ryan very rudely, and you don't hear any of it because it cuts it all out. You cannot leave reviews on Stitcher. Stitcher pretended they were sad. I don't know if they are. You can still leave reviews on Apple Podcasts, which is apparently easy if you have something with iOS, but maybe not as easy on a computer because it always wants you to update. There's also Podchaser, which you can get to from the internet. Also Podcast Addict if you're on Android, but apparently not on iPhone. Did everybody follow along? There will be a test afterwards.
I have a question.
Yeah. You,
no
in
further
the back.
questions. No further questions.
Well, it's not a question.
I have another question.
Okay.
Why not?
Unclear.
Okay.
I'm going to say science.
Hey.
That's what I usually tell my son when he says, why? I don't know, science.
It's true. I mean, technically always true.
Okay, if people are still here, we do have a review to read.
We're in Outtakes territory
It was
right
like
now.
a really long day, and I'm just like, I thought IT accidentally deleted all my emails. None of my
Oh,
sent
boy.
items are showing up for the last week.
Come back next week as we dive fully. Oh gosh, that's not right. Come back again
next week. Please,
next week.
please come back next week.
Come back next week, please.
Come back.
We did it.
I mean, just barely.
Just barely. Oh, stopping that audio.
Nailed it.
Again.
Every time. I'm getting pretty good at this. Only
I
took
was-
4 years.
I was very frightened last episode that I had started the recording and I was using the wrong source possibly.
Oh,
Like the waveforms look perfectly fine. They
right.
look
But
normal.
as we've learned, that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything when I literally just installed a new version of Audacity like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
And
been
I-
opening Audacity like every 3 minutes
Yeah.
and verifying I'm still recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I always
I had,
keep it
like-
a little thin in the background.
That whole thing with my microphone, like where my waveforms looked fine, but then Ryan went to edit it and had just like cut off like the whole top
Woof.
of
The
all of
upper
the
frequencies.
waveforms.
Yeah, so like it
Um,
cut off everything 8,000 hertz and above
Yep.
Oh, wow.
as if it was recording through Zoom or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because
Something
I
weird.
think over Zoom and most of the recording or things for video conferencing, they cut off those upper frequencies to lower the bandwidth of the sound coming through.
Mm,
So if you pull that in from there,
it's very weird.
it's very tinny, right? But I found this program that you can throw the waveforms at, and it does this like studio sound sort of thing, and it adds that back in somehow
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
through like artificial intelligence.
It sounds
Uh,
okay. Like I can still hear it in some places, obviously, and especially
Yeah.
like that recording is just, you know,
It's
bad
definitely
anyway
not
because
perfect,
it's
but yeah.
with the children and children don't have good mic etiquette.
Yep.
I was trying to hoping that you re-recorded it and improvised all your lines.
Oh, no.
Right.
They were.
Mhm.
Ah.
Yep.
Now I kind of want to
You
do a
just-
podcast that's just that.
Right.
back
You just
the
like cut
audio
out
and-
one person's audio
Yeah.
and
Oh no. Oh, that would be very awkward at points.
it would be, but kind of fun.
And that's
And
it.
now we can stop our recordings.
We can stop them.
We did
again.
it.
Cool.
Yay.
Yeah, clickies.
Yeah, clickies.
Yeah, clickies. Look how good I clickied.
The clacky, it's coming backy.
Did it go somewhere to begin with?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
We're bringing it back. Bringing back the click clack
From wherever it went.
from wherever it went.
Wherever it went.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine starting an episode without a clicky?
No, I
It
cannot.
blows my mind.
Yeah.
Remember we used to not do that though.
It hurts. Yeah, I know because I am
trying to
currently
edit those
re-editing
ones, yeah.
the
Yeah.
original 3 series. Call to whoosh, action.
Yeah, like that.
All right. Woo. Top of the podcast.